If you haven't already heard, there was recently an Israeli document that was leaked that outlined a whole plan to force over 2 million Palestinians out of Gaza and into the northern part of Egypt. The document suggested that Israel should tell the international community that they were actually just helping refugees flee from war. Hey, we're bombing the shit out of you. We're going to be super nice though and just let you guys move south. The long-term plan outlined in the document being, okay, we're going to build tent cities, but then we'll also build permanent cities and we won't let them return to Gaza. Also, this document wasn't just a leak. Like, Israel has also said, oops, yeah, shoot, that was us. The reason this is crucial is because Israel has done a good job recently of tricking people in the international community into thinking that they're doing their bombings in a humane way by warning people and letting them move before they do the bombing. But then on the ground, there's a lot of Palestinians who have been saying, no, we're not leaving because you've forcibly displaced us from our homes before and we were never allowed to return. That's how we got trapped in Gaza in the first place. The release of this document adds a lot of credibility to that fear. Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has downplayed it, said this is just a concept paper. I'm sorry, you have a concept paper about displacing 2 million people and never letting them return to their homes that are already a replacement for all of the homes that you displaced them from the first time? For the sake of TikTok keeping this video up, unlike others I've recently posted, that is all I'm going to say about that. I will let you decide what it means to you. TikTok, I am just reporting the news.
They leaked the Israeli government's final solution for all the Palestinians living in Gaza and the West Bank, and yeah, it's a little better than how the Jews were treated in Germany, but not by much.
A secret document put together by the intelligence ministry inside the Israeli government concludes that the best and final solution to the Palestinian problem in Gaza is to remove every last one of them from the area and move them into Egypt.
The reason why the Israeli government is using white phosphorus, bombing, and then bulldozing the crap out of refugee camps and hospitals isn't because there's like some secret underground terrorist tunnel underneath every household in Gaza. Like the fuck you thought every Palestinian neighborhood is like a trapdoor you just lift up and there's a bunch of rockets next to the supermarket. Oh, and by the way, that's the West Bank that they're bulldozing. As in, Hamas isn't here. These people are under Israeli occupation.
Just as the United States would not agree to a ceasefire after the bombing of Pearl Harbor or after the terrorist attack of 9/11, Israel will not agree to a cessation of hostilities with Hamas after the horrific attacks of October 7th.
Bush lied about 9/11. And we lied about Pearl Harbor. Roosevelt knew about the strikes 3 days before it happened, and at the end of World War II, we dropped 2 atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
I'm just saying that an entire population is paying for what Hamas has done. And by the way, just a few months ago, Israeli leaders were reported saying that Hamas was an asset to Israel. Just a few months ago, Hamas was an asset while the Palestinian Authority was a liability. And why so? Because the Palestinian Authority is seen as the only credible actor that the international community would rely upon for the resumption of the peace process. So I wonder, what does it mean that Hamas is an asset? Was it an asset 2 months ago? How has it changed?
And they're lying about this war on terror, and Netanyahu doesn't want any of the hostages back because he needs the excuse to eradicate the Palestinians.
חילופי ירי, תבין שהיה חילופי ירי מאוד מאוד קשים.
זאת אומרת, יכול להיות שזה כוחותינו ירו בהם כשניסו לחסל את החוטפים, את החמאס.
חיסלו את כולם, כולל הבני ערובה. כי היה שם חילופי ירי מאוד מאוד קשים. אני משוחררת בסביבות השעה 5:30, ב8:30 כנראה מסתיימת הלחימה, אחרי שהיה חילופי אש מטורפים, אפילו שני פקדים של טנק שירו לתוך הבית, שזה בית קיבוצי קטן, זה לא איזה, רואים את זה בחדשות.
I just want to remind all you narcissists that still support the Israeli government, you guys have been complaining about the same thing for the last 4 weeks. Oh, just if Hamas would release the hostages, then we'll stop bombing the place where the hostages are. And that's the reason why 5,000 Palestinian kids and 10,000 civilians need to get bombed the F out of their homes. Oh, friendly reminder by the way, ignore all those high-powered Zionist cornballs that are on Twitter all the time talking about how criticizing the Israeli government is anti-Semitic. 10 years ago, 50,000 Jews deep were protesting the Israeli occupation. This is not some new shit, and they are definitely in the minority.
Israeli PM suspends minister who says dropping nuclear bomb on Gaza is, quote, one of the possibilities. Okay, so what about the Israeli finance minister who says he doesn't see a difference between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority? The Arabs are the same Arabs. What about the public diplomacy minister who says we should erase all of Gaza from the face of the earth, that the Gaza monsters will fly into the southern fence and try to enter Egyptian territory, or they will die and their death will be evil. Gaza should be erased. This is the same heritage minister that said like a week ago that they should flatten Gaza and redistribute this territory to the settlers who fought against Gazans. And by fought, I mean committed mass genocide. And since we're suspending people that are advocating for the genocide of Palestinians, maybe we should start with Netanyahu. This is from a biography about his mother or grandmother. It's recently made the rounds again on social media because the historian was like, oh, hey, I remember when I caught this conversation that he had in the 70s. In the next year, if we do it right, we'll have a chance to get all the Arabs out. We can clear the West Bank, sort out Jerusalem. He joked about the Golani Brigade, the Israeli infantry force, in which there are so many North African or Yemeni Jews. They're okay as long as they're led by white officers, he grinned. What about the average IDF soldier who posts on the internet that this is another day supporting the boys on the front lines, waiting patiently to get the green light to go into Gaza and flatten it? What about the leaked report that said that they plan to ethnically cleanse Gaza and push them all out into the Sinai Desert?
The only innocent people that are in Gaza now are the 229 hostages that were taken. Once they will go back to Israel, we will bomb Shifa Hospital, all the hospitals, all the tunnels, and kill them all. It's about time. The world knows that. There's no argue about that. We are the center of the world now.
Right now, we're going to make history. We're going to change how everything is going to look, and we're going to do it right.
I think the bombing is good. I think they should have a lot more of the bombing. The bombarding, I think we can do a lot more inside of Gaza. It's a fight between the good and the bad, the good and the evil.
From the Jordan River to the Middle East, that's all ours. It was promised to us. There's no Palestinian nation. No one wants them, so why we? Because we are good. We finished to be good 3 weeks ago.
I think the young soldier that was talking about the bombing kind of had a point when he was saying that this is a fight of good versus evil. But I think the rest of the world knows who might be the evil.
Right. I don't think this is controversial at all. This is very simple. The halls of Congress, Laura, they belong to the American people. And so the only flags that I believe that should be flown in the halls of Congress should be the American flag, states or territories that we recognize in the POW MIA, and through the appropriations process, we're going to make sure that none of that is funded. As Rashida Tlaib has the, I don't even want to call it the Palestinian flag because they're not a state, they're a territory that's about to probably get eviscerated and go away here shortly, as we're going to turn that into a parking lot. But I've made it my mission to target anti-Semites. We went after Ilhan Omar with H.R. 76 to remove her off the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I will not tolerate hate or anti-Semitism, and the halls of Congress are for the American people.
Well, there's a huge pro-Palestine rally happening right now with thousands and thousands of people gathered in Dearborn, Michigan tonight, supporting her. So, and she would say she's supporting her constituents and representing their interests, not to be targeted or discriminated against. And they have their views on Israel. They're certainly the opposite of my views. But she's saying, I'm representing my people.
Yeah, and people are entitled to their views, and if she is saying she's representing her district, then I'm just going to go ahead and say it, Laura. She's representing a bunch of people who think it's okay for Hamas to cut off 40 babies' heads, which has been confirmed by dozens of news outlets. She thinks it's...
Man, they are really just saying the quiet part out loud, huh? The place that people live in Palestine is going to be a parking lot, is what you just said. And no, there has been no confirmation from any reputable source, including the Israeli fucking military, that there were 40 beheaded babies.
Israel just confused the whole world. Now, recently, the Prime Minister of Israel announced to the world that after the war with Hamas, Israel will be in charge of security in Gaza. And that's all that was said until the Prime Minister's senior advisor wanted to clarify what this all meant. You have to understand, at the beginning of this conflict, Israel had absolutely zero intention of occupying Gaza. And the senior advisor to the Prime Minister of Israel said, said this will not be an occupation, it's only going to be a security operation. The only issue is to have a total security operation within Gaza, is that not occupying? But to further clarify, the Prime Minister's senior advisor says there's a distinction between security and political power. Now, as someone who studies a lot of history and you look at how the US military tried to pull this off in other countries in the Middle East, this tends to not work, especially in a region who does not align up with you with their ideologies and ways of living.